Hey guys, Sebastian here again. So today I'm going to be breaking down the alapin Sicilian. Now without further ado, let's quit this dilly-dallying and let's get into the video. The alapin Sicilian is after e4 and c5. This is known as a Sicilian defense. You play the move c3. c3 builds up for this move d4, supporting it by this pawn. If it ever gets taken, you're going to replace it with another pawn. Okay, now here, the only two good moves are knight to f6 and d5 for black. Let's look at d5 first. You're going to be running into this one the most. Here, you just take back. After queen takes d5, you just play d4. Okay, now here you're probably going to get knight to f6. Here you play knight to f3. Here, a very common move is knight to c6. Here you just play knight to a3. This is very trendy nowadays. You're going to either plot your knight on b5, going for this fork, or we're going to put your bishop here, attacking the queen, defended by that. Something like this is how you would draw with arrows. You could also go for here, looking for this. So here you might get bishop to g4. Obviously attacking your knight. Here you play bishop to e2, breaking the pin, because there's also a pin on your queen. Here you just play, here you generally can get c takes d5 and c takes d5. Here you will see sometimes knight to b4. This is a very common line. This is top line on Stockfish. Here, you probably just short castle. e6 is a good move for black, and yeah, let's move on. So we're back in the alapin Sicilian position, and here you get knight to f6. This is known as the main line. This is known as the best line. Now here you just play e5, attacking. You can't go here because you hang. Now the bishop, you take queen. They can't play here for the same reason. They play here, it hangs again. So instead, after they play knight to f6 and you play e5, they need to bring their knight to d5. Now here you just play d4. You're just fighting back in the center. Here you generally get c takes d4, and despite the fact you can take back, you can play knight to f3 instead. This is not a gambit, because if they take this pawn, they hang their knight, something like this. Remember that. So you play knight to f3. After something like knight to c6, bishop to c4, you're attacking this. Let's say they drop this bishop back, let's say they drop their knight back to b6, you drop your knight back to b3. What if they take? Well, you just take, and look, you have 1, 2, 3 pieces developed, and you have good space with this pawn. This pawn's controlling some pretty strong squares for you. Compared to them, where they only have 2 knights developed. You have 2 knights and a bishop. It's going to be very hard to open up this bishop. It's going to be very hard to open up this bishop. This bishop's not going to be the strongest. Here, generally, plans are like short castles, maybe bishop to f4, bishop to e3's very good. Maybe queen d2, rook d1, rook to e1, and that's pretty good. Here, though, what if they don't take? What if they play d6, the top Stockfish move? Here, you play e takes d6 after queen takes d6. Best move, you just short castle. Something like bishop to e6 is a strong move. Here you can just play knight to a3. Bishop takes b3, a takes b3. After queen to d5, you just play c4, and you're fine. Here generally at queen d8, and maybe knight to c2. Here, and they push, you take, and yeah. So what if they don't take though? What if they instead decide to play knight to c6? Yeah, you just play d takes c5. After d takes c5, you might get e6. They're targeting this pawn, you just play c4. You're going to attack this knight. Counterattack. Levy would call this danger levels. Now he has two square. Now they have two squares. This one's much better though, because it gives you the g6 square for your knight, something like this. Now here you just play bishop to e3. But what if they play knight c takes e5? Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop to e2, and you're fine. Bishop to e7, short castles. You're controlling squares from you're controlling these squares. You're controlling this square, these squares. This bishop's going to have a hell of a time getting out. This is not very good for black. Let's move on. But those are the two best moves. What if they play a move that isn't best? What if they play the most common move, according to the Lee Chess database, knight to c6? This is a horrible move, absolutely horrible, because you just burst out the move d4. After c takes d4, c takes d4, generally you get e6, preventing d5. Preventing d5. Here you just play knight to f3. Now here you might get d5, lashing out in the center. You don't take, you just push. Lock it down. Kind of a French pawn structure if you look at it, just without the c pawn. Now here you might get knight g to e7, knight to c3, knight to f5, bishop to b5, creating this pin, bishop to e7, short castles, and a3, preventing anything from coming to this square. Now here you generally will get a6. You play knight to a4, b5, and after bishop to b3, they might push to b4. Now here you just play a takes b4, bishop takes b4, you just play bishop to c2. What are they going to do? Because if they take this and you take back, they are just giving you this pawn structure, like this. They're just giving you this pawn structure. You're absolutely destroying on the dark squares. This position's +2. +1. Basically +2. So, yeah. But let's say, what if they don't take back with the bishop? What if they take back with the knight? Just lash out the move g4. Attack this. If knight to h4, knight takes h4. What? Bishop takes h4, f4. You're fine. Don't worry. I believe that my viewers can win this. You're going mostly to trap this, something like this, and this. That's what you want. That's what you hope. Generally get bishop to e7, and rook to f3 is very good in this position. Generally going for something like this reroute, hoping for mate. Now that normally doesn't happen, but something like this is very controlling. This is why Deep Blue love this kind of stuff. Go watch my series is on those games, Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov. I absolutely love those videos. I had an amazing time making them. Alright, now the shameless plug's out the way, so now you might get d6 after c3. Just lash out in the center with d4 again. Here you might get knight to f6. And well, now you can't play e5. And bishop to d3. Just defend it. Defend your pawn, you're fine. If knight to c6, you just play d5. If they play knight to e5 attacking this, just play bishop to c2. Generally from here, the plan I recommend is something like b3, c4, bishop to b2, knight to d2, knight to f3, and short castles. Now here, generally this can look something like here, 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 there, here, 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 takes, and generally I recommend takes. And you just got good control of these diagonals. Stockfish, and I might not be the biggest fan, but you're not playing against Stockfish. And if you are, report that player. Or report him to Levy. Give him some free content. Alright, well, thank you guys for watching this video. Thanks for the support. And as I say at the end of all my videos now, go do something productive with the rest of your day.